Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you all had a wonderful time with your friends and family to whatever you celebrated. And if you did celebrate Christmas, I hope Santa was great to all of you. Now, I know by the title of the video that the intro so far has not been really aligning, but this holiday season I think has been a little strange for Battlefield. Obviously, with the passing of Vince has been very difficult for the team, and I wish him and his family my best condolences and everything else. I know it's hard and difficult in these times. Someone who's understand loss, it's not something that easy to come through, especially in a tragedy like this. So my best condolences to the Battlefield team and Vince's family. Now, I know that it is difficult to transition for something like that into talking about Battlefield in the upcoming year, but I've really tried to rewrite this script and talk about things in a light where I understand there needs to be a lot of change when it comes to Battlefield, and also how the team will have to adjust and everything. So hopefully in the upcoming new year and during their time of adjustment, we can start to see things that were planned out for Season 2 and everything else. And overall, the adjustments that Battlefield really needs to make so it can become a lot stronger of a game, because right now I feel that it is just kind of coasting. Now, Battlefield itself has always been a very interesting title. Since its modern day shift after they deemed Hardline a failure into 1, 5, and now 6 and all this, they've had a very different approach, and especially their way they go about live service games has been lackluster, to say the least. I don't know if they have to appease anyone at EA or how it kind of goes down to what their structure is, but I'd have to say Battlefield is a game that actively, when I look at the shop or something like that, is quite, it does not make me want to say, spend money. I look at this shop and I go, none of these skins look like they work together from a realistic standpoint to a trying to figure out what's going on. I understand that the community has asked and wanted for certain stylization, and that's cool, but I don't feel that the styles that we're getting and the look of the characters look more than sort of blob and mesh. And I know the artists are extremely talented over at Battlefield Studios, so whatever's going on in this direction that they clearly had to shift from something where, they're like, hey, we have to make sure things are like this and everything else. I hope that really gets looked at. I think the community has been very vocal, from the casual to the more in-depth, playing the game more than just your average gamer, that we want something that looks similar to how Battlefield 3 looked, 4 and Hardline and all these other previous modern titles that we've had, to where we can get cosmetics that more align with that and not kind of look like almost less than a default character that we would see in a random sort of shooter. It's odd, but I hope they do recover and come forth well. The Winter Offensive, I'd say, the best way I could feel like I can describe it with updates, and especially now with the Winter Offensive, the way it's been in its full swing and everything else, your headset breaks and you go out to buy a headset, but you buy the exact same one. You're excited because you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting a headset because my headset broke, and you know what you're gonna get. And so you're like, you understand that there's this level of deliverance, this level of quality, and you just kind of keep going with the flow of the motion. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but when you're asking your community to spend money on top of a already premium game, you shouldn't just be coasting like this. Events should be something that people want to get on, and you deliver FOMO on, fear of missing out. That's what sells, that's what drives. I don't care for the ice pick melee weapon, and all the cosmetics looked meh to okay, but at the end of the day, I was like, I just don't it doesn't speak to me. It doesn't call to me the way everything goes on with these camos and these blueprints and the weapons they choose and the character design. I'm not really feeling it. Everything feels the samey. Everything feels static with the overall game. And so none of these events really stand out for strong guns, good looking equipment, or anything like that. The game mode was neat, but I'm glad I don't have to play it anymore. It was not as fun as the previous limited edition game mode that we had with Sabotage, but that wasn't even anything crazy to write home about. I feel that Battlefield 6 has launched and it has just coasted off its hype, and it coasted and coasted and coasted. And I know that, again, they have to worry about now with how they're going to shape their studio and the current content they have laid out, which I'm sure Season 2 is already ready, what they've designed and everything, but still, it does feel very coasting. So now Redsec was Battlefield's new BR, and you can see it all over social media and in the Steam numbers now people are playing. It has dropped a lot of its player base. Now, granted, at like 600,000 peaking on Steam database, which is insane, and naturally that was going to fall off. I'm not saying that it has to keep 600,000 players. That's kind of a crazy ask, especially with how difficult Battlefield retention is. You find that Battlefield's best enjoyed when you play 3 games and get off. There's nothing that brings you back. There's nothing that excites you to bring forward, and I feel like that's something that I will talk about more later. Because that is a worrying point for developers and even as consumers for ourselves. But with the BR kind of stagnating and then also multiplayer being behind a paywall and everything else, I wonder how Battlefield Shift and their studios will focus on trying to allow us to feel more retained within the game, because I don't want to play Battlefield. I get on, play Battlefield because there's this itch, there's that want. I've done my work for the day, you know, I come home, I want to play Battlefield, and I get on and I just don't feel excited when I play those games. It doesn't feel great. There's so much issue with the game, which we'll talk about. First and foremost, the maps. Oof, tough. Like a well done overcooked steak, just tough to chew, tough to enjoy. I've said it so many times in previous videos, Eastwood is easily the best map that's come out so far, and I know it's based off the BR map, but it plays the best, it feels the best on all the game modes that's available for. Every other game just feels like they said, here's 3 lanes, here's a skin on top of those 3 lanes, and a small gimmick in design for the maps. And that's it. The only one that doesn't feel like that is like Manhattan Bridge, because it's a giant grid because it's supposed to be like New York, and even then, it kind of sucks. I don't know what they have to do, or if they hit the drawing board, or it's time to break the emergency glass and hit in the release legacy maps, but something's got to give. The maps are just like, I'm not booting up games and getting excited because the feel of the maps are boring. Just as important gunplay is, because gunplay is not that bad. It's really not. I feel like they've given us some very good gun interaction. I like a lot of the guns. I like using variety of guns. Normally in Battlefield games, I find myself sticking to 1 or 2 things. I'm actually using kind of anything I want to. I think that it more speaks that I want to use even guns that aren't seen like the quote-unquote meta or like these amazing dominant weapons. I want to use everything, but I feel uncompelled because I don't feel that any of the maps are a fun environment to use anything that's not super good, because you have to almost use a super good weapon to compensate for the poor engagement or the poor map design or whatever's going on in front of you, instead of being able to play a map to its strengths and utilize what your weapon or situation or class is designed to do. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. I think also these limited time game modes need to severely be looked at, because this will help me transition also into the retention that I was talking about earlier. The Winter Offensive seemed great on paper, but again, it was more of the same. It was a very safe approach to something, a very boring approach to something. Cool limited time game mode, cool you can't heal on this. It gets old quickly, you don't really want to play it. I'm glad it's limited, but like, I don't miss it. I've come from other games where limited time game modes are exciting when they come back, even if it's something corny like hide and seek or whatever else, like a gun game or something. Like, at least you kind of miss those things and you want them to come back because it's enjoyable. This did not serve that case when it came to Battlefield whatsoever, and then you're not getting people interested in your events, which means you're not going to generate any excitement for people to talk about. Content creators are constantly putting out videos on how the game feels boring. The community itself has dwindled into like a very casual representation where it's like, hey, I'm getting on, I'm getting off because this isn't fun. I'm not getting off because I'm satisfied. I'm getting off because, I guess I got to go to work tomorrow. And like, the game is not making you want to break your own personal rules. It's not making you want to stay on longer. It's like, oh man, just one more game, just one more game. You're not getting that from Battlefield 6. And that, I think, is an overarching problem when it comes to retention and money spending and other stuff. So my big overarching thing I need to speak about was this retention. So as a consumer, Battlefield, DICE, whoever looks at us as people who's got to pay their bills, they want our wallets to open up to spend money on battle passes, cosmetics, whatever else, pre-order this and that. Cool. I don't mind spending money on stuff if the content is worth it, but the content has been worth it from an appeal standpoint, from a just any standpoint, really, a fun factor. There's nothing that excites me about spending money more on Battlefield. I bought 2 weapon packs so far. I bought the thing with the SOR 300, that like beast pack, and even now, like, I don't know, it kind of sucked. And then I bought like the cool red Damascus knife that was like super cheap. So sick. I'm happy with the knife thing because it looks neat, and I see it a lot because you take your knife out to run faster in this game. But for Battlefield and the higher ups and everything else, when they see people not spending money, the game is not going to be deemed well in the publisher's eyes, in the studio's eyes. They'll happily just pull the plug on Battlefield 6. I mean, Battlefield 6 is almost the exact opposite of Battlefield 2042, where they were expecting a nightmare of development, and then it kind of did weird-ish near the end. Like, it did okay. Like a small thumbs up near towards the end of the game. It kind of fell together. Battlefield 6 feels together-ish on launch, but then everything else just became stale and stagnant and boring because of the maps and the way that they're designed. It's not even, I'd say, even how small they are. I think it's just the way they play in general. You could make a big map and it can just be nothing. We've seen Goldman Railway in Battlefield 4. We've seen Silk Road. We've seen just absolute open fields of clustering nothing. And we know they have the ability to make a good infantry designed map, whether it's big or small. We've seen the China Rising DLCs from Battlefield 4. Hell, we've seen all of Battlefield Hardline. Those maps weren't that bad. Majority of Hardline's critical feedback was that it was a cops and robbers game. They know what they're doing. They have the blueprints, but I'm not sure why it fell short. And then for you and me, the people that played this game, realistically, there's nothing that's making you swear by Battlefield's excitement. There's no hype when you really play the game. There's no, yo dude, I can't wait to go see a Battlefield clip. Even if you look at social media for postings and stuff, when content creators have to form their content around designing, hey, Battlefield's not doing well because of this, because they'll try other content. They'll try to post a gameplay of something, and it doesn't do well because no one's interested in Battlefield content. If you look at Twitch, if you look at YouTube, the stream numbers, they don't have many people watching, whether it's the Redsec category or the regular category. Battlefield has become a retentionless game. And when another casual player, the 9-to-5er, comes across and they go, hey, there's another game I'd rather play, they don't feel it's like, oh man, I'm really enjoying Battlefield, you know, I'll come back to it, this and that. Like, it just came out and it's just gone. And it kind of pulled a Call of Duty in that regard. It literally drops, people talk about it, and then it becomes stale, and then they're like, hey, why is it stale? And in COD's case, of course, it's repetitive and boring, but the thing about Battlefield is, like, it also was repetitive and boring, and it still is, with the gameplay loop, with the map design, with some of their balancing ideas and changes. They need to take a hard look in the mirror and just be like, yeah, we need to just sometimes put our foot down and make a decision. Whether it's like, you know what, maybe we don't have to stick to hyper realistic skins. I understand that's what the community asks for and everything else, but realistically, how large of a voice was that? Was it a vocal minority? Because now you're bleeding players, now you're bleeding retention, and your other competition can succeed, or someone else can come along and do something well, and it doesn't look good. Are people just tired of sandbox multiplayer games? There's a lot of questions that come into Battlefield, and it's very difficult to kind of be positive in enjoying this environment, because I love Battlefield. I want to make content for this game. I got so excited for when this came out, and now I wanted to do my hardest against Doom posting, so I'm trying to be more critical and speak about the errors and what they need to adjust, and maybe give more an opinion instead of it's Jover, but here we are. So let me know what you guys think down below. I do want to also make a video on the netcode. I didn't speak about it much in this video because I feel like it needs its own special topic, because there's actually a lot of critical issue I found with it, and I feel it can be made into its own video itself. So let me know what you guys think. Again, happy holidays. I'm sorry to be critical after the holidays with everything that Battlefield's going through, but it is difficult to make content on a game that doesn't feel very inspired. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.